Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's Your Story? I want to thank you for being here today and participating in this interview. I really have to tell you that I am so passionate about what I do here with this show. I love hearing other people's stories. There's no judgment here. Everyone has their own unique story, full of trials, tribulations, good, bad, ugly, whatever it may be. And we are just so lucky that people will come on the show and be so courageous to tell their story. I'm in Seattle, Washington today, and it's freezing. It has snowed here today a little bit this morning, so that was kind of unusual to see. It's been a long time since I've lived in a climate where it's been cold, so it's all new to me again. I want to let you know that I appreciate so much your comments, your ability to email me, to contact me on my website, and let me know how you feel about my guests. I appreciate it. I want any feedback that you're willing to give. All of these videos that I do, the interviews, will be posted on www.kathybacon.com. They will also be posted on my YouTube channel, What's Your Story Radio, and also on my radio page on Facebook called Kathy Bacon, What's Your Story. So you will be able to watch this video and this interview at your will. Sometimes people can't tune in during the day. I understand you're at work or you just can't tune in, and that's okay. This video will be going around the world between my guest and I for sure. I need to let you know that this guest is a guest that I interviewed about 4 years ago. And I am so excited to have him back on and share his mission and what he's involved in. Because the great thing about it is that even after 4 years, he has stayed the course on his mission and what he believes is his calling right here in the world. So today, my guest is Luke Maxwell. And when he was little, he wanted nothing more than to be an astronaut. Now he's left all those childish dreams behind for much bigger ones. After suffering from undiagnosed Major Depressive Disorder for 4 years as a teen, he survived a serious suicide attempt, and he has a video where he talks about that, and he will tell us more about that. He survived a serious suicide attempt, like I said, and once he was told he was suffering from a medical disease that he could overcome, and that more than one, I mean, this is stifling to me, 1 of 4 of his peers were suffering like he was. He made it a mission to heal not only himself, but support others along the way. And so on that September night in 2013, with the simple tagline, Unashamed, period, and you can't be erased, was born. Ever since then, he's been flooded with stories from parents, teens, teachers, grandparents, and everyone in between about various mental health challenges that they're facing. He believes every single person has a story worth telling. I love that already. And he wants to help you along that journey so you, in turn, can not be ashamed. Because as we know, there is a big stigma with mental health. And I am sure that Luke will talk to us about being ashamed, and also his other mission is you can't be erased. So I really am so excited to see him again and have him back on the show. So thank you so much for coming back on after 4 years, Luke.
It's so good to talk with you again. I was remembering preparing for the interview about 4 years ago, and
Right.
I was so scared because I didn't do any media interviews back then. I had no idea what I was doing, and then so now being back here, it's like a completely different time and place, and it's amazing to create a full circle like
It
this.
is. It's just really exciting because lots of times when I interview people, sometimes they may want to come back on, or sometimes they go into other directions and they don't come
Hmm.
back on. But
Right.
you have stayed the course, and
Yes.
I just admire that so much about you. And
Thank you.
thank you for doing what you're doing in the world, really. So
Of
tell us
course.
how you got involved in teen mental health advocacy.
So it's not a pretty story, and as you alluded to, starting around the age of 12, I grew up in a good family. Like I grew up in a great family, had a good life, but starting around the age of 12, I began to experience the symptoms of what I now know as clinical depression. My mindset started to shift. I started feeling sad all the time. I couldn't sleep. I was feeling unloved. I felt that I was alone in the world, that I couldn't do anything with my life. And I thought my life was worthless and pointless, and everyone just wanted me gone. And then so 5 years ago, December 3rd, 2012, I attempted suicide by driving the family's 12-seater van at 60 miles per hour into another vehicle, of which that accident I survived completely unharmed. I shouldn't be here today, but I am. And so as I started to heal, as I started to learn more about depression, is that it's a medical overcome, just like any other illness is. I started to see like, wow, I started learning that 1 in 4, 20, actually the number is actually 29.9%, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. 29.9% of teens suffer from depression, and 1 in 12 attempt suicide. So I realized that I wasn't alone. And in fact, I was so not alone, like so much so that I knew I was here, I was alive. I had to do something about it. And then so I just posted a video of my story. That's it. And, terrible production quality. Me and my brother figured out how to make a video,
Right.
and I started a blog, and then it all just started snowballing from there. I started speaking 4 years ago when I was 17, and I haven't stopped since.
Yeah, you haven't stopped since. You have now blossomed into, I mean, you've got your own studio at your home. You're doing podcasting. You
Right.
are doing YouTube videos. So,
Mhm.
I really want the audience to know more about that as we go on with the interview, because I want them to be able to connect with you if need be. Because, I mean, man, this is like you said, 1 in 4. That's staggering statistics, quite frankly.
It is. And most people don't know because, like you said, there's such a huge stigma against it. We don't like talking about it. We think that we're the only one in the room. Whereas if you're at any kind of place with, let's say 20 teenagers, 5 of them are depressed. 2 of them are going to try to kill themselves. Like that's just reality. And the thing is that we could blind ourselves, so we can say like, oh, well, we don't want to think about that because it's sad, right? It's
Right.
very sad.
Yes.
But just because you don't want to accept it doesn't mean that it goes away. In fact, it just gets worse because nobody's getting help.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think no one is getting help? Are they not getting help because they don't really come forward? Or are they not getting help because they are embarrassed or they're ashamed?
Right. I think there's 2 main reasons. The first one is that they don't know that there's an actual problem. They can say, okay, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling unloved, I feel like alone, but that doesn't correlate because they don't have the information. That doesn't correlate into, oh, I'm clinically depressed, I need help. That correlates into, I'm a terrible person, I don't deserve to live. It's just me. There's not the awareness out to say like if you were sick, you're sneezing and coughing, and your nose was stuffed,
Right.
it doesn't correlate to, wow, I'm a bad person, my body is just bad,
Right.
it's broken. No, it's like I'm got sick. It's a natural response. But the problem is with mental health is that there isn't the awareness to create that natural response. And also the thing is that even people want to get help, even when they say, I'm not feeling good, I don't want to feel this way, I want someone to help me, there isn't the awareness of the people around them of what to do. Because you can have well-meaning parents, well-meaning friends who are trying to help. And they'll say, oh, well, why don't you just try to keep your mind off of it? Why don't you just, not think that way? Why don't you just, smile more, be happy? Like, just be happy. And the thing is that there isn't the awareness of, what do I do? Because they don't know. They don't know. And they're trying to help, and they're scared. And that can result in bad advice or them drawing away because they don't want to make it worse. But then their friend says, oh, wow, you don't care about me because you're drawing away. So there's a miscommunication and non-communication is at the heart of it. And that's why I put out so much. I have my podcast, I have my YouTube videos. I put out I put videos on Facebook and Instagram. And I speak in front of thousands of people because I'm trying to foster that communication, healthy communication around a subject that they're now knowledgeable of.
That's great, Luke. Really, that's really wonderful. So what's your mission?
My mission is very simple. It's to help teens, to empower teens, really, to recognize, to overcome, and be unashamed of their mental health challenges. Because many times, right, like we said, to recognize them is not, right, that's the first step. Because if you don't know there's a problem, then how can you do anything about it?
Right.
So you have to recognize it. So that's where awareness comes in, having my symptom checklist that I have on my website. But then the thing is, okay, you recognize that there's a problem. Now just don't go, oh, poor me, I have a problem. No, do something about it, right? Nothing's going to get better just because you want it to. You're going to have to actually do something about it. And that comes in many forms, talking to, going to a therapist, talking to your parents, taking medication, exercise, right? There's so many different ways. I actually have an ebook that literally details every single thing that I did during my recovery. Free ebook for anyone listening. And that details it all. And so that's the thing. But the problem is that's where many people stop. Is that many people stop at, okay, I got over it. I overcame it. Great. Fabulous. But then they don't take that next step. And that next step is what I call being unashamed. And there's no one way to be unashamed. The main thing, what that means is to take your bad experiences, all that bad stuff that happened to you, no matter what it was, like, is it mental illness? Is it something else? No matter what it is in your life, take that bad stuff, turn it into something good. And that could be, and the thing is that you don't have to, and that's what I did, right? By taking that 4 years of darkness, attempted suicide, and I turned that into, I'm going to use that story to inspire other people to do the same thing I did in recovering and not make the same mistakes that I did. But for some people, being unashamed can be, I know that I felt depressed in the past. So when I see my waiter today, right, at the restaurant, I'm going to give him a big smile because I know how much that meant to me when I was depressed. And then so I want to turn that favor and help the world just be a little bit better. And that's really what it is leaving just a tiny, almost insignificant, not insignificant, but tiny mark on the world, leaving it just a bit of a better place than it was yesterday.
That's fantastic, really, because you're right. When someone else that I spoke with over the years was depressed, and he actually had cancer. Okay. And he said that no one knew really out in the world what was going on with him, but just someone opening the door for him on a day that he was so down and out meant the world to him. And so when you say, just someone smiling, to someone that's so depressed and doesn't feel like they can climb out of it is a big deal.
It's a huge deal, and to further illustrate this point, it's a real story that a good friend of mine, a good psychiatrist friend of mine, Dr. Aaron Cariotti, he has a story of this man who jumped off the Golden State Bridge, right? And they found his diary in his apartment. And in his diary, it said, if one person smiles at me on my way to the bridge, I will not jump.
Oh, no.
So that's the power, like that's the power of tiny actions, right? Like we were talking about before, like giving someone a hug, giving someone a smile, is that it's not insignificant. And the thing is that whenever I'm out in the world, in fact, further illustrate this point, when I sit before one of my classes at school, I'm still in college, and before one of my classes, I sit by this door. I wait for this class, right? I sit at this door, and I sit facing the door. And whenever somebody walks through that door, whether I know them or not, right, no matter who they are, I always look up, give them a big smile, and go back to what I'm doing, right? It costs me half a second of my time. And it makes me feel better, and it makes them feel better. So it's something like that, is taking tiny actions, because so many people feel that they need to do something big. They feel like, oh, wow, you're speaking to thousands of people. Wow, I can never do that. I'm like, you don't need to do that. You don't have to. There's no reason. Like, no, just because I'm doing something doesn't mean that you have to copy me in order to really, do this properly. There's no right way. So that's what being unashamed means. Is it means that you are leaving a positive mark on the world. And whether it's by sharing your story or whether by just using your experiences to change your behavior, that's great.
In the world we live in today, Luke, people aren't very happy. They're a little ticked off about certain things. They're not happy about what they see on the news or maybe the politics. I mean, whatever it is, a smile, like you said, takes a half a second. And we don't know what someone's day's been like. We don't know. I mean, if I were to see you on the street, I wouldn't think that you were depressed.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
So if I smile at you.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that we don't know. And something I'll do, I did this more when I was younger, because I looked very young. I looked like I was maybe 13 or 14 back when I first started speaking. And these people are like, who are you? And I've gotten yelled at by teachers who thought I was playing hooky in the back. So, I looked very young. But something I did was, when possible, for this one in particular in Ohio, I was at this youth group, speaking in this youth group. I came early, I came at the beginning, and I hung out with the kids. No one knew who I was. They didn't know I was a speaker. I played all the games with them, hanging out with them. I was eating with them. I sat down, just with them. And they said, waiting for the speaker. And then he said, Luke Maxwell. I stood up, walked to the front, and I said, I started speaking. I was clinically depressed. I attempted suicide, and their jaws dropped. Because they had no idea.
Yeah.
No, because I don't look, right? Like I say, do I look like I'm mentally ill, right? I hope you'll say no, but it doesn't, the TV, the Hollywood view of mental illness is not correct. And unfortunately, we've been tricked into that, thinking that that is the view of people who are crazy and dangerous. And that's just not the case.
Yeah. So what are some moments during your recovery that made a dramatic change to your journey?
There was the first thing. I would say the first thing that really made a difference, because like I said, my perspective when you're dealing with mental illness, depending on what it is, right? Depression, anxiety, bipolar, it twists your perception in a different way. And we could see like a case everyone would know would be schizophrenia, right? Severe schizophrenia, where you hear things, you see things, right? And that twist, it's a perception of reality that's wrong. The thing that many people don't realize, especially when you are depressed, is that it's the same exact thing happening to you, just in a different way. Your perception is changed to see a reality where nobody loves you, where nobody cares, where you're worthless. And the problem is that because it's not something like, oh, I'm seeing things or hearing things, it's my thoughts, is that they believe them. And it's very hard to not believe them. So when after my attempt, when I came home, my parents said, look, we love you. We're going to help you no matter what. I want you, and they said, here's the thing. We're going to talk every night about how your day was. You can tell us absolutely anything, and we will never yell at you. We'll never punish you. We're never going to angry. We're only going to help you. And the thing is, my perception was changed, so I still had a hard time believing that, right? But then what they did is they backed that up. When I told them stuff about what I had done, about how I was feeling, they backed up that promise. So, and then that's what gave me the, okay, oh wow, they really mean it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong, right? Maybe my perception is wrong. Maybe I need to change this. And then so that was the first thing that really made a big difference. The second thing was the general looking at what helps me and what doesn't. Because here's the thing, we live in a world where we have 5 steps to everything, right? Everything, right? All these articles, 5 steps, blah, blah, blah. It's very simple. When healing from a mental illness, it's not easy. It's not easy at all, but it's simple. You do more of what helps you feel better, and you do less of what makes you feel worse. That's it. That's it. If taking medication helps you feel better, do it. If going to therapy makes you feel better, do it. The thing is that many people are wondering if they're correct, if they're right, if they're doing it right. Because of course, especially parents are very worried about doing something wrong, of course. But the thing is that if something's working, if something's making you feel better, do more of it. If something's making you feel worse, like even going down to the food that you eat. I realize that certain places, I won't name names, but I felt terrible in mind and body when I ate there.
Right.
And I realized, like, I can't do this anymore because I want to feel better. And if I want to really feel better, then I'm going to have to change up my behavior. And that's the part of doing. Recognizing the problem is one step, but you actually follow through with that. And then so those were the 2 main steps in having that communication. And of course, I had communication with my therapist as well. I was taking medication. But having that communication with my parents and then making mistakes. Just making mistakes. Doing something and seeing it made me feel worse. Saying something, being around somebody, eating something. Oh, that made me feel really bad. Okay, let's try not to do that anymore. And if I have to, like if there's a situation where I have to be in, like school, right? Lots of people get stressed out and have panic attacks and get anxious during school.
Right.
How can I prepare for that? How can I fortify myself? What can I do when I'm in that situation? Who can I surround myself with? What can I do? Because the thing is that there's always something you can do. Always. It could be small. It may not be big, but there's always something you can do. And whenever people come to me and tell me, nothing's working, I can't do anything, I always find at least one reason, usually many, many more. Just different ways. Like, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Like, I know people who have healed, not necessarily healed, but have had significant increase in their their health and their journey through acupuncture, through essential oils, right? So it's all these things that are out there.
Yeah.
So there's no excuses. That's basically what I'm coming down to is there's no excuses. If you really want to get better, you can do it.
Yeah. And, we have access to so much more than we did even 5 years ago, right?
Of course, yeah.
And also, a good point that you bring up is that parents are never prepared for this and they don't know what to do. So I am sure you have been a great teacher to your parents on this topic, as well as, them being a teacher to you about how love is unconditional,
right?
No matter what.
Exactly.
So that's a really, really wonderful thing. And to see how that all plays out within the family dynamic. And you were very lucky. Right. Of course you were. But I can say that most parents, when presented with this situation, would do anything they could to make sure that their child was taken care of or, had the right means to get what they needed. And I love what you said about, it's very, very simple. Do what makes you feel better.
Yeah. That's the secret. That's the secret. Right? It's no secret, but right? I'm not. Yeah. So that's it.
Keep it simple, right? Just keep it simple. And so,
exactly.
What are you doing now for teen mental health?
Oh boy. So variety. So I really focused on putting out stuff. Like no matter what. Like I have my YouTube. I'll post about 3 videos a week, depending on the week and how
And what is
busy
the
it
name
is.
of your YouTube channel?
So it's You Can't Be Erased, just like my website. Probably should, yeah, I can give out my website too while I'm at it.
Yes.
You Can't Be Erased. Same thing on everything.
Yeah.
And then I also have a podcast. I call it Psych 101, where really the mission is to educate people about psychology and give them practical steps and strategies and things to think about. Sometimes I'll have something I'm like, think about this, right? How does this apply to your life? It's kind of like an off topic. Really the point is to get psychology accurate and applicable to young people, especially teens, young adults, because it's a complicated world, but it's fascinating. I love it. Like, even if nobody listens to my podcast, I don't care because I learned so much preparing for it. I love psychology. It's amazing to me how many secrets the mind has and how much the brain has, yes. And that we're still unlocking everything. So the podcast has been a really fun opportunity for me. I'll bring on guests. Usually, it's just inspiring young adults who are in mental health, who are doing great things. I was able to interview the former CEO of NAMI San Diego, which is a National Alliance for Mental Illness. NAMI, yes. So it's the biggest grassroots mental health organization in America, and the San Diego one is the biggest chapter that they have. So I was able to interview her, which is great. We actually talked a little about schizophrenia. I have a sneak peek. I have an interview with a real hypnotherapist coming up, it was amazing. It was an amazing interview, and I'm really excited to put that out in the next week or two. So yeah, so it's fun things like that. But the main thing what I do is, besides putting out videos and podcasts and blog posts and all that, is I really focus on the one-to-one. So messaging back and forth with these teams, like just through social media, through email, and just messaging back and forth with them. And some people I've been talking to for 2 or 3 years now. Right? Not every day, right? It's not constant, right? Unfortunately, I'm backlogged on all my messages now because of just, amount of everything. But, and just talking with them and watching them go through their journey, I'll tell you that it is so amazing rewarding to see somebody go from depressed, suicidal cutting to somebody who has such a bright look in their future. Like, who has someone who is so pumped for their future that it gives me hope. Because I'm like, wow, right? It continues to reinforce me that, like, hey, this is real, right? And so many people, like, no matter what, like, I've seen every situation you could possibly imagine, but no matter what, every single person has an opportunity and a chance to improve. And then, of course, I take that to the macro through speaking. So I've been speaking, this fall has been pretty busy. I will continue to be speaking to high schools, youth groups, conferences, all of that. I love it. It's probably my favorite thing in the world, to get in front of these people and just talk with them. And that's really what I've been doing. I'm always looking for new opportunities. I always have ideas. In fact, I have a folder called ideas. But but yeah, so that's really what I'm doing now, and I'm always just looking out for new opportunities in the future.
Yeah. Well, I have some for you, and I'll share them with you after the show.
Great.
Again, when you talk about all these people, contacting you and coming together, do you have a group on Facebook, a private group?
I do. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, I do have a group. It's actually fairly new, which is why I forgot that I had it. It's fairly new. I just started it a couple months ago, or a month or two ago, and it's called I Am Unashamed.
Awesome.
I am unashamed, period.
Great.
And it's a place to share information, to just get some support, to just be with people who are unashamed. People who aren't going to be in there like, oh, you're depressed, you have anxiety, right? It's a place for you to be you, to be unashamed, be who you are, and just experience a bunch of love and support. That's really what it is for.
That's
and I'm really excited for where it'll go.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to go far, because there's a lot of groups on Facebook, some of them private, some of them open. As your group, I can see being more private because the situation and what people are talking about, and they want that anonymity. So, that is awesome that you're doing that. I think that really helps people, and I'll definitely post that on my website as well, so people will know that they can be part of your group and they can hear ideas and they can't. It's just, for me, it's always been about, I've had mental health issues in my family, and it's just always been about not feeling alone, and
Right.
knowing that other people out there are here to share and give. And it sounds like that's what your group is about. So that's great.
Yep.
That's
Exactly.
So tell me what unashamed means to you.
To me, so personally, to me, it means being myself no matter what. Because I don't know if I've let it on a little bit. I'm a bit of a goof sometimes. Well, a lot of times, right? I can. One of my friends affectionately goes, just, "Oh, you goofball," right? That's
Yeah.
right. So, because I'm not all serious, right? Just because I deal with mental health and
Right.
mental illness doesn't mean I have a somber face all the time. And that's honestly that's part of who I am, is as I want to help people, but I don't want to make it strict and serious. Is that I want to show them how amazing life is. Right? Smile. Life is amazing. Like, no matter like all the bad stuff that's going on, there's so much good stuff.
So much.
Like, in your neighborhood, there's an unlimited amount of possibilities of just fun you could have, of good you could do. And then so for me, it's just a constant reminder. Like, I have this wristband. It says Unashamed on it.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder to me, like, hey, be you. Like, you got one shot at this life, right? Be you, be who you are. And if people don't like it, so what? So what? I mean, I don't care. Like, you don't like me? So what? I do not care, right? Because what it ties down to, and what I think Unashamed really is cemented in, is the idea of self-worth, of knowing yourself, of loving who you are. Like, I love who I am. Of course, I know my flaws, and I hate them so much because I'm a perfectionist at heart. But at the same time, like, I know who I am, and I'm okay with it, right? And then I'm always trying to improve in the future. So really, for me, when I see that word unashamed, for me, it's a reminder to say, hey, be you. There's no one else like you. There never ever will be. And really, if you want to have the best life that you can have, you have to be authentic to yourself. Because I spent 4 years pretending to be a different way than I felt. I spent 4 years living that life, putting on masks, and I never want to go back to that. And even it goes, like, it's a concrete example. I really didn't post anything for Halloween. I think I post because I don't care about it. Like, it's not important to me. And I know that if I had a Halloween video on YouTube, if I had a Halloween special, like, I would have gotten quite a few clicks. I would have ridden that raise. I probably would have got followers. But that's not important. What's important is that I'm living the life that I know that I have to live, that I want to live. So something like that, right, is comparatively, what's a few likes or a few followers or some views compared to me living a good life?
Exactly.
Right? Meaningless.
Because so many people, can talk the talk. And I always warn my kids and people that I know, don't listen to the talk. It is the action. It's always the action.
Oh, yes.
Follow the people that are walking the walk, not just talking that talk.
Exactly.
Because those are the people that are authentic in their beliefs and their actions.
Right.
So I think, for a lot of people, especially teens, it's kind of hard at times. I would say I have a grandson that's going to be 10 years old, right?
Yeah.
And so, peer pressure and just all those things about, he's got that and I need to be like him, or, all those things play into that mental state and mental being of who we are.
Yeah. And it's funny thing about peer pressure.
Yeah.
With peer pressure, you're being pressured to be like somebody else.
Right.
To fit the norm.
Yeah.
Look at the most, like, even just like pure, like, business-wise, look at the most successful people in the world. Tell me what norm they fit.
Yeah.
There is none.
None.
And even just like, even not just looking at like success such as money, but even just happiness. You are you, like biology, like just pure biology, DNA. you are you. What makes you happy, what makes you feel, what makes you as a good person and find success in life, whether it be with a family, whether it be with a job, whatever success means to you, the only way you're going to find that is if you align your DNA, your biology, and your mind, how it's wired, and you align it to how that is wired. Like, you're aligning yourself to yourself. When you start aligning yourself to other people, you're off balance.
Never works, does it?
It doesn't work. And so that's the thing is like I get it, like peer pressure because you want to belong. I get it, right? I mean, I feel that way sometimes too. Like, oh, I need to change up my way because I want to belong to this group. Then I remind myself, why? Like, I want to feel miserable in order to be like somebody else. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
So it's kind of that mental check. And it's that looking at like peer pressure, like it means nothing to me. I don't care. You guys don't like me, right? I am going to find my own version of success. You can be miserable over there because you don't want to change. One day you'll wake up and you'll realize, oh, that guy was right all along.
And I think that's great that you can connect with young people and let them know that, because you've been that, 14, 15, 16-year-old. You're now 21. You've gone through that journey of all that you're talking about. So you're able to talk to young people about this situation because you've lived it. Not just you've read it, but you've lived it.
Exactly. That's the thing, I will never tell people to do something I didn't do personally.
Right.
I won't. Because if I didn't do it, how do I know it works? And that's why I try everything. Like, right? I'll try I'll go dairy free for a month, see how that works. Didn't do anything except it made me want to drink more milk. But like it's stuff like that. Like, let's see what happens. And I just want to try stuff. And that way I can communicate that to people and say, look, I just did this, right? Maybe you don't want to do this, or maybe you do, like, right? So it's that lived experience that is honestly most important to me, because I don't have a degree. I'm not a doctor. But I have the experience, and I'm able to connect to people who are just a few years younger than me. And that's way more important than knowing but not able to influence any change.
I agree. And I think it's just fantastic for all the people out there that need a connection, that need that you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
Yep.
Because really, that's all we really want to be in the end. We just want to be okay, and we want to feel that what we're doing is not crazy. I mean, because, there's that whole stigma about mental health. He's crazy, he acts weird, he's this, he's that. Yep. And again, who wants to live with all the same kinds of people anyway? I don't. I'm sure you don't either.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're all different, and we all have the ability to live in communities and in cities in the world just by being who we are and connecting with others that are going to uplift and support us. Those are the people that you want to be with. You don't want to be like him over there. I don't, right? So what effects have your outreach had on young people?
Where do I start? I think the most profound, really the biggest success I've ever had with this ministry. Of course, no, and when I say the biggest, not by this person was more important than any other people,
right,
but by that is a very concrete example, in that I spoke at a high school, and it was amazing. These kids were fantastic. I gave 4 talks over the period of 2 days. And word got out by the second 2 talks I did so I did 2 talks on Tuesday, 2 talks on Thursday. The first 2 talks, were populated. Yeah. But the second 2, people were sitting all over the floors. I mean, it was really a fire hazard. It really was. Like, people were lined up on the stage. I had 100 people behind me on the stage. So we had about 500 people crammed in a room meant for 350, right? So there were 2 talks like that. It was amazing. These kids were fantastic. I find out the next day that a senior was planning to kill herself before graduation, which was only a couple months away. And she had plans to kill herself before then. She heard my talk. She went directly to the school counselor, and she's now getting help. And so it's that kind of thing, like, I mean, I do too, because I'm like, who, me? I did that? Like, how? And then I realized, like, I'm a kid who took his skills and applied them. Imagine what every single other 17-year-old, right? Because I was speaking at 17 years old. I was speaking in front of people. Imagine if they took their skills, their talent, they were unashamed, and they apply them and say, I'm going to do something about whatever, right? Whatever they're passionate about. Like, that's the power that we as humans have. And especially these kids who have so much energy and so many ideas, right? Who are even like now as I'm getting a little bit older, right? A little bit older, right? Even now, like, I'm blown away by like these kids who have so much passion, so much energy, you know, so many skills and talents. And I'm like, you can do so much with them. Don't listen to people who say, just go to school. You can't make a difference. It's like, no, you can. So it seems like that. And, you know, I'll receive stories like that all the time. And it continues to blow me away every single time. And sometimes I don't find out for like 2 years later. And someone says, hey, I saw you speak 2 years ago. It was great. You helped me get to a counselor. Like, and then so I can never predict, right, what will happen. But my whole mission, when I went into this, I said, okay, I want to do something. I don't know what. I want to help people. Right. I want to help everyone in the world. But I said, like, if I help one person, like in the entire space of my life, if I just help one person, I'm good.
I'm good. That's right.
And it's turned into so much more than that. So that's the power that we as humans have. And I just think it's fantastic when we take our passions and our skills and we combine them, and then we are unashamed about them and we just go all in on them.
Yeah.
It's amazing what can happen.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing what can happen because you're a perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
A perfect example. So oftentimes self-worth is completely diminished when someone's depressed. So no self-worth. I don't want to get out of bed. I'm not getting out of bed. I'm staying right here. How can someone improve their self-image?
That's a good one. And so when we're talking about self-image, the big thing that we have to get is what's the root of this? Is it someone in their life? Is it a medical disease like depression or anxiety? Right? Usually it'll be, right, depression or anxiety, which may come from somewhere. The big thing with self-worth is to, number one, like I mentioned earlier, is know that you are wrong. You're wrong. You're completely wrong. And the thing is, you might say, like, no, you don't know me. I have spoken to tens of thousands of people across America. And never once have I seen somebody talk to somebody who wasn't worth, who didn't have worth, who didn't have a lot of worth. And because I can see it. I can always see it. And especially when I'm communicating back and forth with these people, they're amazing. But they can't see it because their brain, their chemicals in their brain are altered to change their perception. That's the first thing, is say, look, it's not you. There's chemicals in your brain. They're changed. They're altering your perception to confuse you about reality. You're wrong about what you believe. Now you need to accept that. Listen to me, because I was in the same place you were. Okay? I've talked to a lot of people, hundreds of people who are in the exact same place you were. Okay, now that you believe me, now what are we going to do about improving or changing that belief? And a big way to change a belief, right, is through medication, through therapy, through, just through healing your body, mind, and soul, which I go over in my ebook. And then so that's the place to start. A concrete thing that everyone can do right now, if you just shut this off and do this, is I want you to write down 10 things that are amazing about you. And if you think, I can't think of 10 things, yes, you can. You can make a good peanut butter jelly sandwich, right? You have a knack for picking the right size jeans, right? It's something great about you, right? Something that everyone else can't do, right? Because I know I have a hard time picking the right size jeans or making a good peanut butter jelly sandwich. So, right, something, it could be tiny. That's not the point. The point is to look in the mirror and then just read them off and tell them yourself. And tell yourself, hey, I am worth it. I'm worthy. I have worth. I'm an amazing person. I'm good at this and this and this and this. Because here's the thing, is that, yes, it can prove to you and say, wow, I do have worth because I'm looking at it. But the thing is that this is psychology. Like, this is basic psychology, is that it's thought patterns. The problem with anxiety and depression is that you develop negative thought patterns because the medication helps balance the chemicals in your brain so you can view reality. Therapy changes the negative thought patterns. That's how it works. So by stopping those negative thought patterns, you can slowly start changing your reality. That's the power of your mind. And the thing is that this is real. Like, this is science that we're talking about right now. And so that is something concrete that you can do right now. And something else to improve your self-worth, actually, is go for a run. Exercise has been proven to be almost just as effective as antidepressants in some people. Yeah. Just as effective. So go for a run. Right? Do 20 jumping jacks. Like I was saying, like, if you think you can't do anything to heal from your mental health, do 20 jumping jacks right now. You just did something. Congratulations. That's step one. Now we can worry about step two. So that's the thing, is that there's just two practical ways: is get some exercise, clear your head, get those endorphins pumping. Just do that, and then that also boosts your self-worth. It's like, hey, I went for a run, I exercised. Wow, I feel good about myself because I did something. And then also just that repetition, whenever those negative thought patterns start, is to stop them. Because it can be something interesting about depression, anxiety, is it's almost addicting to have negative thought patterns. You almost want them. Even though you don't, you do. Because it's something that's constant in your life. And then so when you have those negative thought patterns, the first thing is to say, hey, I'm worth it. I'm amazing. I'm awesome, right? Anything, and then just repeat that and repeat that and repeat that. Look in the mirror, right? Look at yourself, right? I'm beautiful. And then that will cut the negative thought patterns. And then over time, preferably with therapy and medication and all that, is that over time, you will start to notice a difference and you will start to heal. Because that's the goal of all this, is to heal.
And it's fake it till you make it. I mean, it really is. Just keep saying those things about yourself. I've known kids that have put sticky notes on their mirror in the morning.
Yep.
And every day just written something positive about themselves and stuck it up there, Right. And then every day they're reading when they're getting ready for school or any of that, they can what they've written about themselves. Right. And it's so I can say it's so easy, but if you're in that position, it's not always easy to do that.
No, it's not. But the thing is that it's not easy, but the goal, and this is the thing to remember, is that the goal is never to be perfect today. Yeah. It's always to be better tomorrow. That's it. Like, that is the goal in life, in just life. And the problem is, like, me as a perfectionist, I know it. I get if something's not perfect, I get physically, I get upset, right? Yeah. I feel that physically if something's not perfect. But the thing is, and that's just a mantra I repeat to myself, is like, okay, it's not perfect. Can I be better tomorrow? Yes? Okay. Or is it better than yesterday? Yes. Okay, good. Right? That's it. That is the goal of life. It's just to be better tomorrow. That's it.
Well, there's a saying, that every day, every morning when you wake up, you get to create, and it's like being born again every single morning. You get to start all over. You get to create that day. You get to change maybe what you didn't like yesterday. So we have that opportunity every single morning when we wake up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
So what have you been implementing in your life lately to improve your mental health?
There's a couple things. Number one is I've really been focused on exercise, because me having so many things going on, and many things, behind the scenes that I'm working on, that I'm developing, that aren't necessarily in the light yet, is that I realized my exercise went downhill really fast. So I was like, okay, I need to just take time, 30 minutes, right? Not a whole lot of time. Yeah. Schedule on my calendar and then just do it.
Right.
And so that's one thing. The other thing that I've really been, and I'm currently in the process of, is really getting my sleep cycle set.
Yeah.
Because I'll notice that the biggest factor in my mood, biggest factor in my energy, is my sleep.
Yes.
That without a doubt, I will feel worse when I don't get enough sleep. And here's the thing about frustrating for me is that my body, the way I'm built, just needs a lot of sleep, right? 8 hours is the minimum of a good night of sleep. Preferably 9, right? That's what I shoot for, is like
Right.
to get 9, then I'll actually be at my optimal.
Right.
The problem is that doesn't always happen, right? And I lie. That almost never happens, right? Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I've really been working on just implementing different strategies, like, okay, like not watching anything in bed before I go to sleep, because I get stuck, right, on Netflix or YouTube, right? I get stuck on there,
Right.
and then I lose track of time. So there's something like that. Okay, like I'm trying not to do that. Am I 100% successful? Am I perfect? No.
No.
Am I better than I was last month? Yes. And that's what counts.
Yeah.
So yeah, the two main things is really exercise and then watching when I sleep, because I've recognized that about myself, like, right, self-aware, recognizing the problem. I've tied it to sleep and I've tied it to exercise, and also kind of watching what I eat is going along with that. That's not really a huge problem for me, but and then I've tied that to that and say, okay, recognize the problem, now let's do something about it.
And exercise, even for those that, like, there's just some days I am in a funk. I wake up and I'm just like, I didn't sleep well. Okay, there we go. And I can't get out of it. But I can go down to my local trail along the river, and they have a trail there. And I used to be a runner when I was younger. I'm not a runner now, I'm getting older, and your knees and everything else. You'll find out about this, Luke. Dad will fill you in on that. But it is so nice. Like, I just start walking, and you're out in the fresh air, and you see the trees, and you see the river, and your whole demeanor changes within. So, it's just a wonderful thing to be able to go out and take care of yourself and get some physical activity.
Exactly. Here's the thing about nature is that I've been reading a lot about what are ways to improve, right? I'm always looking for different ways. And here's the thing about nature is that not only like the greenery can improve your mood just by the color being surrounded, but the very shape of nature is very graceful. And what that does is it naturally, like subconsciously, it leads the eye across that very, natural bends. And what it does is it relieves the mind. Like, it unfocuses the mind. Like, it just biologically, like, that's the chemistry of humans, is that's what it does. So whenever, like, and that's great, because you're saying, like, a walk, and then, it gives you some time to breathe, right? It gives you some space, and it naturally does something to you subconsciously to unfocus your mind, and then just let your mind wander and let it rest.
No, it's very true. If I'm ever sad, or if something isn't going right, or I just go out into nature, and I can guarantee you 30 minutes later, I have a whole different perspective about what I need to do, how I need to do it. Because instinctively, we have the answers if we're just kind of quiet and we listen. We know what we should do next. So, yeah, I so agree with you about exercise and sleep. And sleep is a big deal these days, especially with how busy everybody's life is. Yep. And you're really busy these days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's really great. So we talked about things that people can do to improve or boost their mental health right now. Can you just name one thing that someone could do right now while they're listening? If you're listening, because if you're not listening right now, you're going to be listening later. It doesn't matter when you're listening. You're going to be listening to this. So what, Luke, can someone do?
Do 20 jumping jacks.
Okay.
First thing. Another thing, that if you're not feeling depressed yourself, I want you to share my content. Share my content with your friends, because guess what? Right? No matter what age you are, as long as you know 4 teenagers, one of them's depressed. As long as you know 12 teenagers, one of them will attempt suicide. So and that's why I put out so much, so you can share it with the people that you love, that so that way they can say, wow, I have no idea. This is real. This is how I'm feeling. I'm going to do something about it. And that's not just happens in a vacuum. That's real. That happens every day. That happens all the time. And someone will contact me and say, wow, I happen to see that your friend liked that my friend liked your page on Facebook. I saw that my friend that followed you on Instagram. I saw something that my friend shared, and now I'm getting help. Or what do I do? How do I overcome this? That's very real. And those are real results that you can do to make a positive difference in the world.
Absolutely. And I will post every single way that people can get a hold of you on my website at www.kathybacon.com. When you go on to www.kathybacon.com, you'll be able to click on interviews. And when you click on interviews, you're going to see Luke's picture there, and you're going to click on the interview. And it's going to take you to a page where you can watch this video, and it'll have his contact information on it. So don't be afraid to go there, get it, copy it, whatever you need to do, because I'll tell you what, this guy is the real deal. I've known him for 4 years now. And he's not kidding when he says that he is here to help and be someone that you can connect with. I know this for certain, okay? So tell me, before we go, why orange is your main color?
It was accidental. 4 or 5 years ago, we were first creating Can't Be Erased, and the default theme for my website at the time was orange. I was like, hey, I like this.
Yes,
and
I remember.
Slowly I began to incorporate orange more and more and more, and then until like it's a big part of my brand. And the thing is that I feel that it represents it in a color form, Unashamed. It's bright, it's fun, but at the same time, like it's happy, and for me, it represents my personality, and it represents the word unashamed in a color. And I love it, and I don't care what people say, because I have many people say, look, you need to tone down the orange. You need to just, like, no, not the orange. It's
no,
like, no,
don't tone
no
it
way.
down.
I am not stopping with that, no matter what.
And there you go again. This makes you feel good, orange. Yeah. And so it's become your branding. It's become who you are. It's become unashamed. It's become you can't be erased. I remember when you first started on your website, it was orange. And you're right about orange. Orange does make you feel good. There's just something about orange.
Yeah.
So
psychology.
Yes, see, there you go. And are you majoring in psychology?
Yes, for right now. Schooling is a long story that we don't have time to get into, but, yeah. But I'm going on my path. I'm going to school right now, and I'm figuring out my school path as things change and go on.
But I also think that when you're giving back as much as you are,
mm-hmm.
that some things get put on hold sometime.
Yeah.
And then we sort of get back to them when we can, and there's no right or wrong about it, right? So, I just think whatever is going to be for you is going to be. Your mission is certainly not over in life.
No way. Never.
And I have to say that it has been just an honor and a pleasure to talk with you again after 4 years. And I remember when I first spoke to you, we just spoke over, it was a radio station, and you came on, and you couldn't see your face.
Mm-hmm.
But you exude so much kindness and so much ability to people. I could see young people being drawn to you.
Oh,
because you do have that ability to draw people in, and you're honest and you're authentic. And I don't know anything that could be better, Luke. I really don't.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you all for joining in. If you were able to join in today, I see that there was a few people that kind of stopped by and checked out the view, but I'll tell you, we'll be posting this. You'll see it. I want you all to really go in and, find Luke if you need to. And again, I will post all of his information. I'll post where you can find him. I'll post his Facebook page where you can message him, whatever you need to do, because if you are in need of connecting with someone because you feel like you're alone because of mental health, I'm telling you, and Scout's honor, Luke will be able to help you. And I could be a spokesperson by the time I'm done with this.
Thank
But
you.
I really mean it, and I really believe it, Luke. And like I said, I've known you for 4 years. I've watched what you've done over the years, and it's never wavered. So thank you for that. Thank you for supporting teens and,
Of course.
getting involved in what's happening today, because it is forever changing because of technology as well. So thank you for that.
Of course.
I really appreciate it. And
Yeah.
thank you all for tuning in today. I again, am so grateful and so honored that you take the time to listen and watch and create that human connectiveness that we all need in today's world. So thank you very much. See you next time.